All right, so welcome to a little special live session. My name's Corey Cottrell. I'm the founder of The Uplift. We do a show on YouTube called TheUpLifters, but we started doing these lives on LinkedIn. We're actually live on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on YouTube right now. And I got invited to a panel on IBM for their Z-Day thing. They're sort of like a massive tech day. They're doing a bunch of stuff on Web3. So I got invited to that. And I met these guys and a few other really amazing people. Chan from the New Moon Accelerator, who again, as far as I'm concerned, actually can walk on water. Introduced me to all these guys, and I wanted to bring them out to have some interviews. The sort of pre-conversation that we had was really fascinating. The panel that we're going to be doing is going to be at 1:30 Eastern Standard Time today. There's going to be links in the show notes, and I'll actually drop a link in the comment here once the conversation gets kicked off. But thank you guys so much for coming in and doing this with me, Marcus and Edward. So maybe we'll just do another trial run here. Like, we're going to be having 90 seconds to kind of pitch what we do. So maybe if you could, Marcus, we'll start with you. Maybe tell us actually a little bit about yourself first, and then we'll get into what you're doing.
Sure. Marcus Brown, Lafayette, Louisiana, former academic, actor, producer, and now technologist. I've been working in the video game sector, entertainment sector, academia for quite some time. So, now I'm a partner at Digital Twin Studios.
Okay, so there's so much that we're gonna need to unpack later from all of that stuff, like actor, producer, video game stuff, like whatever. You've done everything. All right, so that's fantastic. So what are you into now? When you're saying you're is it Twin Studios? Sorry if I got that wrong.
Digital Twin Studios.
Digital Twin Studios.
Yeah, I became a partner at Digital Twin Studios about 2 years ago. Saw the technology that they were working in. They were originally a brick and mortar safety training company for the energy sector. Saw what their applications could do in immersive learning. And we decided to look at expanding to multiple industries. And so when I came on, we started to expand to hospitality, tourism, manufacturing, some DoD work, as well as some healthcare and other government work. So we've really kind of expanded the impact of immersive learning across multiple sectors within our area. And we've been successfully partnered with Unity Technologies and Meta for a little bit. So we've been able to embrace their innovations, be a part of some of those, and help develop, additional content.
That's awesome. Thank you, Marcus. Yeah, we'll dig into all that stuff.
Sure.
So yeah, Edward, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. I'm Edward Ng. I'm the founder and chairman of One World Blockchain. My company platform is the second coming of Alibaba for invoice payments and asset management. Our platform is launching a true multi-currency super app to allow the banked and unbanked users to pay B2B and B2C transactions locally or across the border. So that's really our mission and vision, right, for the upcoming years.
All right. Yeah. I mean, that's I love how succinct you're. If you don't know what Alibaba is, go Google it like right now.
I'm assuming everybody does know.
come back to this later. Yeah, that's a really big deal. So when where should we dig? Well, I guess for people who don't know, I'm the founder of the Uplift World, which is a metaverse.
Sure.
We wanted to there's a lot of projects out there that are moving straight to Unreal 5, and they're making really flashy trailers, and you ask them if you can get into their metaverse, and they're like, no, not yet, it's not ready.
Yeah,
I really wanted. We were actually doing metaverse before people were talking about it. It's been almost 2 years now, and really it stemmed from the pandemic, right? It wasn't. I've read all the metaverse books. I'm a total nerd, right? Like that, the future for human, collaboration and connection, kind of being in this 3-dimensional space, as this kind of a leaping off point of social media. Obviously that's going to happen, right? I didn't really think I was going to be helping to push it forward. And really how it happened, I was a podcaster before, and we decided we were going to start podcasting inside video games. Right. And the first one we tried was Fortnite. And, my podcasting partner, we do like science and politics, all that stuff. He's a middle-aged dude like me. And, a couple middle-aged dudes getting murdered by 7-year-olds for an hour is funny once. It's not funny twice. So we moved to Minecraft, right? You start your own server up, and we would invite guests in, and we would do interviews, and we would start building things. And that was way more interesting and slow enough that we weren't getting murked by 7-year-olds the whole time. And and interestingly enough, like we had a friend of ours come in into the server, and you come in like just the blocky little dudes behind me here, like that's it's Minecraft, right? So they he came in and he just put a bunch of like wooden blocks on top of each other, and then you can write signs in Minecraft, and he said, I'm really grateful that you guys let me into the server. And I was thinking about all sorts of cheeky things to build and all sorts of like, kind of negative stuff, frankly. And I switched to everything right on the spot. The second I saw it, this is the gratitude has to be the cornerstone of what we do in here. Because I, have had a gratitude practice for a long time. Go watch all the TED Talks on it. Scientifically proven to make you happier no matter where you're at in life. Like it's a thing, right? So I started making a bunch of these gratitude monuments. And then I build a cathedral around it. And then the pandemic starts. And suddenly everyone's locked in their house. The internet is the only place you can go, right? And so we told everybody, extended friends, family, what have you, if you'd like, you can come into this server, invite anybody that you want, and like we'll give you a little corner of it, and you can, build whatever you want and just kind of have fun and sort of feel like you're with other people. And Mark Zuckerberg is actually entirely right about this one thing about the metaverse, and it's that sense of wanting to have people be able to feel present in a place, in a digital space with each other, right? And gunning towards that is just really, really critical. So people started coming into the server. We started hosting like gratitude ceremonies every Sunday. People started watching the live streams. It turned into this big thing. And then we realized that we want people to have real ownership over the land that we give them in this digital space. And so we tied it to NFTs. And then everything went bananas, right? So we've got a fully functional metaverse already. It's already based on NFT land ownership. We got a full play to earn thing, blah, 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 right? So that's the Uplift. It's, it's been the most insane 2 years of my entire life. And it really is like, it's just the start, right? Like we're at the starting gun of what Web3 and what metaverse and like the intersection of all these things that, I'm sure you guys have been playing with for a while, whether it's NFTs, cryptocurrency, blockchain, and video games, right? Like what's this next level where, we can integrate all of these things into an experience that is, a non-dystopian version of Ready Player One. That's kind of our goal. Sure.
Understood.
Anyway, so that was long-winded. Definitely not 90 seconds on that one.
No, it's all good. Your passion, your excitement is all there. I can hear it.
So, right? Yeah. I just gotta trim that. I gotta trim that down.
No problem.
All right. So, Marcus, let's maybe start back. The acting and the producing thing. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I've been an actor and a producer for about 20 years. I've produced, content in collaboration with other partners. A lot of our content is on Netflix, iTunes, YouTube. We've done a sort of Homecoming, as well as another film called Dirt Road to Lafayette. I've been supervising producer for a number of films on the Sci-Fi Channel and Lifetime with some colleagues that shoot in the area. Those really came about due to the tax credits in Louisiana. So we've been really, heavily a part of that process with my company, Believe Entertainment. But when I became a partner with Digital Twin Studios, it was really looking at how some of my previous experience in the entertainment industry could really be leveraged inside this immersive learning space. And as things really kind of took off with regard to, building worlds within a metaverse and understanding that what we're doing on an enterprise level is a part of that metaverse experience, and how can we connect that? I think one of the things that IBM and this opportunity to collaborate with you all is to look at the opportunity of, creating trusted, safe, and secure environments inside of Web3 and leveraging all of the resources available with Web3 as well. So in that process, we're just looking forward to, enhancing our immersive learning experience for professionals while also making it secure. There's a lot of issues with regard to that, but the more that we can do that, the better we can serve our clients and make sure that their personal information is protected as they continue to learn, as they continue to thrive.
Right. So when you say immersive learning, because we've talked to a couple of people who are contemplating using our platform to dig into that. And I think it's really, really fascinating, especially, all the work that Microsoft is doing with Minecraft. We're actually porting over to an open source voxel platform called Test now, which is fun, right? Like that's what NFTs let us do, right? Everyone was all worried about like how can you go from one thing to another? Like, well, the actual network is the NFTs, right? And the digital space, we can move the voxels from Minecraft anywhere, right? We can actually even move them into Unreal, right? So like there's sort of an interesting thing there. But yeah, so could you give us an example of that immersive learning? Because I think you're absolutely in an awesome spot. I think that's going to be a growth industry for sure.
Yeah, sure. We started as strategic development partners with Royal Dutch Shell. And so when they onboard individuals, they want to make sure that they're safe in the environments that they're working in. We've recreated, Permian basins, oil rigs, et cetera, so the individuals can have a level of familiarity before they actually go into the rig and make sure that they understand the safety protocols, et cetera. One of our clients is also Virgin Hotels. With Virgin Hotels, we were really focusing on onboarding new individuals within the culture of Virgin, the history of the Virgin brand, not just the hotel, the Virgin Global Group, et cetera. So we built a hallway that was replicated from the Chicago Virgin Hotels so that individuals at any property would be able to walk into these different rooms and understand, be greeted by Richard Branson, et cetera, and then be able to articulate, this is what we're expecting you to do with our clients, our customers, our guests at our hotels. This is the Virgin experience. This is what we're founded upon. So in that process, we're looking forward to not only delivering that type of learning experience, but also capturing, monitoring, evaluating it in a very personalized, secure platform. So every single user, we know what they know, we know what they don't know, we know what interests them based upon eye tracking and analytics, et cetera. So a lot of our growth comes from the ability to securely store and analyze that data so that we can serve our clients better, so our clients can serve their customers better.
Yeah, that I go back to that data constantly. We're actually talking about booting up some artificially intelligent non-player characters, like ownable ones, right?
Okay.
And I think that the key thing there that I keep coming back to is that once they're in our system, I really want the language engines to be partitioned so that each conversation that I'm having with my buddy is basically making it better at responding to me. And that's going to create a massive amount of data over time.
Right.
And that's one of the other things that we're going to want to have, I think, protected as well. Okay, so Ed, let's move over to you. Do you mind if I call you Ed, or is Edward better?
Edward's fine.
Edward's fine. Okay. So, all the things that you can do in the universe, you decided to, go after, cross-border payments and to basically make the second coming of Alibaba, but obviously upgraded into Web3. Like, what was the decision like? What was that point like where you're like, wait a minute, this is exactly what we need to do?
It's a great question, Corey. I actually grew up in New York, but I relocated back into China. I was born in China many years ago, about 14 years ago. So I was in a small city at that time called Shenzhen, right next to Hong Kong. And in the last 14, 15 years, Shenzhen grew from about 5 million people to about 19 million people.
Wow.
Right. So with that said, I was leveraging my IT background since 1984. I was trying to be a forerunner in China, where I was trying to bring in the solution aspect of the business rather than just the technical side. Right. This is where my strength comes into place, where half my life is in corporate, the other half of my career is a serial entrepreneur. So I always been a solution person where I see people, process, and tools is really the deliverable and not the technology itself. And this is what I was trying to do in China. In 2016, I got involved in blockchain in a hands-on basis. And when I saw the emerging of this technology, I said to myself, I spent a lot of time in Wall Street and in fintech. I said, here's a technology that I really think that we can, in essence, provide a true platform where it's distributed and the control of the transactions that you make, in this case here, payment for B2B or B2C, is controlled by the user themselves, no longer controlled by a central entity. Right? So that was my spark, right? Seeing this, because back in the old days, I always go to Starbucks, right? I asked myself, wouldn't it be nice for me to track all my Starbucks payments and know how much I paid every single month in Starbucks? or the fact that since I was in China, I was trying to do some shipping, exporting products from China to US. I really need to know how to pay this thing conveniently without going through Citibank or Bank of America. And they're very good at that, to do the international payment, but it was very lengthy, very cumbersome, right? So that's how I came about coming up with the idea of cross-border payment, leveraging internet, or the web in this case here, and blockchain. So this is where I think the transformation comes into place, where we have to leverage the best of both worlds, right? The traditional world, finance, fintech, and the newest technology, blockchain now being in the Web3, is the idea that how can we make these transformation work for the real world, right? In addition to the metaverse, okay?
Right. No, I mean, I think the one of the first things that I think people come to when they start studying Bitcoin, usually first, and then all the other cryptocurrencies. It was a huge aha moment for me. Like, wait, borders aren't a thing anymore, right? Mm-hmm. Like, Bitcoin doesn't care if you're in, Kenya or frickin' the moon, right? Like, if you have internet access, you're going to be able to use it, right?
Right.
And we got Katani Pay was what I was thinking about Kenya. They're going to be on that panel with us.
Absolutely.
And they're basically like running and gunning straight at the unbanked. Not only in Africa, where obviously that it's a massive issue and a even more massive opportunity, but in the States too. Chan was telling me that like 20% of the people in the States are still unbanked as well, which looking at a lot of the places around the corner of some of the metropolises really are like mini third world countries here in the States, right. which is nuts. But again, it's an opportunity. Like, how do we help those people with that stuff? So you come to this realization that, wait a minute, like there's no stopping this. And like that, like we're starting to see, projects like yourself, and I've entered a few that, are sort of now gunning at this, opportunity. But like, it could be the story of the next 10, 15 years in fintech while we move away from purely centralized systems.
Correct. So Corey, the idea that that came about is, as you know, I grew up in New York, where in Wall Street everything is the big brother, right? We control finance. Yeah. My core customers at that time were, back in the old days, Maryland, Citibank. These are the majors. I was dealing with the data center. I was inside the data center providing solutions. Just imagine that, okay? The stuff that I've seen in the back end that a lot of people never see. So with that said, when I was in China during the last 14, 15 years, I realized that they don't have a fintech structure where that people that like ourselves who came from, say, United States or the tier one countries were so accustomed to. But in certain ways it's good because they don't have any structures to break down, no walls to tear down. So I saw WeChat and Alipay came from zero. Just give you an idea, all right? And what they have done to change the whole the financial world within China itself. And I said to myself, we need those things, but we don't need it localized only, like in China. We need it international, which is how we always think from the the corporate world, and also being a serial entrepreneurs. And so therefore, that's where the whole idea comes into place. How do we help people in China, in say MENA? My girlfriend right now is in Kenya. My partner is in Nigeria. I have all of this in my fingertips now. My investment partner is in Canada. He's a licensed banker. So all of this takes into consideration where we have to make it work as what I call multi-currency super app. So it's no longer tied to just one country or one currency, right? And I treat fiat as a currency, that's cash, and I treat crypto as a currency, it's a digital currency, all right? So it doesn't matter to me whether you have crypto or you have fiat. Right? To me, it's an asset. You can use it.
Yeah, it's just an entry on a database for you.
Right. So this is where I think that I was feeling very comfortable in looking at how do we provide this solution. And the complexity is there. Even Elon Musk 2 months ago did a little YouTube blurb on the fact that it's necessary because he was trying to buy Twitter, right? And he's thinking that, well, maybe we should do a super app or put Twitter as the front end and the back end, like WeChat or Alipay. He was talking about stuff that I talked about since 2016.
Right.
Okay. So it's a lot of work, but it's a platform-based solution. So it's not a single app solution, and you need a lot of partners across the globe to tie into the platform to make it work. Right?
Yeah, network effect is Yeah.
Exactly.
Networks better be all the marbles for sure.
Right. Okay. So I also like the fact that being invoice based, it's almost universal. If you don't mind me saying that, Corey, that you look at NFT, right? You have to buy an NFT, right? In from a structure point of view or financial structure point of view, you need an invoice. Even though it's a digital invoice, you need a transaction.
Yeah.
Okay? So for those who have money, they can buy an NFT. They can loan it to people that don't have money or don't want to, in essence, put the money into NFT and use it to play games or to learn educational tools, to use it for anything that's asset based, which is the coolest part.
Yeah.
My solution, my platform is, hey, you're buying a digital asset. Invoice has to go along with it. Okay. So now you have, in essence, a blockchain transaction recorded that this NFT and this particular, I would say, transaction is yours, right? And it could apply to the metaverse world. Even though it's in a metaverse world, you have a digital, like you said before, a digital and a virtual real estate. You still need to record that, right?
Yeah, well, it's the thing about NFTs. It's all in the blockchain, right? So it's all on a public blockchain. It's really just a matter of reading it and organizing it and make it so that humans can use that data.
Right. And the whole idea that the real world requires a transaction record, right? Besides the hash, okay? Besides the blockchain record, right? So that you have some form of
like adding context to the record. Is that kind of what you mean? Because the record is definitely there, but we want to kind of imbue it with meaning. I'm working on my taxes right now. I've got thousands of gaming nerd transactions on the Wax blockchain. I'm like, oh, and there's when there's not context, you have to sort of brute force that. So like having all of that stuff attached to an app where you're basically even forced to contextualize it in the moment would have been great.
Right. We got to leverage the technology, right? Blockchain does certain things really well, right? Immutable transaction records. But in terms of keeping track of the database, like Marcus says, there's a lot of things that we need to use a traditional database, right, to use to record and manage, right? That's the only way.
Makes sense.
So it's really a transformation of the digital economy that I'm talking about right now, right? Not just a leave the old world out of the picture and just into the new world. It cannot happen. It has to be a combination of both.
I totally agree. Like we need to be able to incorporate the old systems into what we're doing. Marcus, you were nodding your head a bunch. What are your thoughts about all this?
Yeah, no, I mean, from our perspective, even, looking at, you mentioned land ownership already, and I'm probably going to talk a little bit about a project that we're working on to tie real world land ownership to its digital twin and that process for film production location scouting. So when, an individual comes into an area, we can look at a municipality, look at that property. That property is tied to a framework that allows us to then go as far as allow a producer to engage that landowner, reserve that space, block off a road, etc., and all that's kind of protected, and that transaction is on a blockchain. So leveraging the ability of Web3 to service and make things a lot more secure, a lot more trusted, a lot more automated. Now that's going to attract more business to an area because, an individual can be in LA or New York, et cetera, or anywhere around the globe. Look at the data, look at this digital twin of this space. Is this a viable location? But that also gives us the opportunity to do the same thing for multiple industries: site selection, business development, care, civil engineering, et cetera. So looking at that space, we've got a great opportunity to leverage that technology in a manner that really kind of accelerates. And to your point, it's not taking over the old world and the old world of the way of doing things. It's expanding it. It's giving you another opportunity. It's expediting a process. So I think kind of buying into that process. Yes, it does take just an expansion of where we are and giving more opportunities. And of course, we know that the adoption rate is going to be a bit slow for some, faster for others. But when there's a critical mass of individuals that find the support or getting what they need or executing transactions, business development is growing, then you're going to see a significant level of user adoption after that.
Right. So, I think the concept that I see in real estate development or other IP related development, I use the term transformation, Marcus. Right? Really is the idea that you have a physical asset. Right. How do you transform that to a metaverse or a digital asset that can be accepted by both the compliance issues that's required and the user's requirement, right? So this is very, very important. I'm working with a handful of major potential project. One of them is in Saudi Arabia, NEOM. Right? They're trying to build this mega city, right? And they want to, in essence, create a futuristic, metaverse approach to, in essence, finance and manage these projects, right? So it's the same situation. So it's very, very important. They want to bring in cryptocurrency, but how do you do it so that they maintain the integrity of the old world, which is titles, project-based development, into the new world, right? So that people across the globe can invest and buy and actually, live and use, right, the property they purchase, whether it's online or the digital or the physical, right?
I think
what you have, Marcus, right?
The
it's very
whole
important.
deed industry is going to turn into NFTs.
Right.
Yeah,
like the title industry, like it's purpose built for hard coded data and mutable data, like the exact kind of stuff you'd want to have attached to a database. Exactly. Somebody was my buddy Russell, of course, is actually working on this in Canada. We were sort of looking at it down here because I was talking about starting a real estate DAO down here and kind of tying it in with the advocacy group that he's got in Canada right around this stuff, right? And like down here, you start looking at the title industry. There's like little regions, and it's like paper that like some guy threw in the back of his truck, right? It's it's a little bit better than that, but not by a lot, right? Like it could be instantaneously perfect and immutable. And adaptable to the modern age. And it's only, I know there's a few projects that are working on it now. Like it's only a matter of time before that gets turned into, something that is intermeshed. Doesn't have to be national, right? But there, will be national standards that get applied to it. And then I think there's going to be international standards that get applied to it so that, you could be in Dubai and be like, hey, I want to pick up a piece of property in Louisiana. And it's all just machine readable, right? And then, of course, your app, Edward, is going to be able to just, manage all that stuff and do the transaction. And, Bob's your uncle. Just get done.
Absolutely. You have a record that you pay for it.
Right. There you go.
By law, you need that, right? You need that. You don't have the choice. You just cannot say, I send you some Bitcoin, but where is the physical invoice and the deposit of funds into that transaction so that became a legal transaction, right? So whether we like it or not, that's the current state of affair. But the transformation is sooner or later, the whole, I would say the ecosystem of asset-based tokens will be accepted. Whereas I own the token, behind it, right, where the information is where the title, the compliance requirements are all captured, right? Okay. And I like what the market says, the whole idea of the twin aspect, right? So you could go from a physical to the metaverse twin and back, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that stuff.
Go ahead, Marcus.
Oh, no, the only thing I was going to say is I think I know the project you were referring to, Edward. We were kind of engaged to look at a massive project in that region.
Huge. Neil.
One of the things that they're working on is building a digital twin of that space. So they could look at traffic patterns, they could look at egress or water tables, etc. But it's literally building a digital twin of that area. But then, overlaying it with data that has to be secure, that has to be protected in some fashion. But I think on the other side, it doesn't go just in the ownership, and also can go in the rental. That's why the locations.
Investment in rental. That's correct.
That space for a little while, but it's a real world space. We're tying it to a digital twin. We're connecting the two. That individual feels comfortable to secure that transaction and then engage in that real world asset. That could be anywhere from, an office building for rent, an apartment, or a hotel room, etc. If you can engage it in that space, and that's what we're really kind of focused on. A lot of the projects that we've looked on around the world have really validated some of the opportunities, the applications, and the interests in that space. So it just kind of confirmed our efforts.
Agree. So again, I don't want to promote their project per se in our podcast here, but the concept is the fact that any real estate project, right, that is either in development, because it's right now strict, they don't even have the project. They're doing a lot of marketing right now. Right? The project is the wireframe of the project is in place, but they haven't even broke ground yet. And this is where I think that the fun part is that we can, in essence, leverage what we have as a blockchain solution, right? Tying into what you have in place, Marcus, and or even tying the concept NFT, because NFT is an asset-based token, right? Okay. So what asset you put behind it is the whole concept we're trying to bring forward now with this particular type of real estate project. And it's not one project. It's a mega project. They want to build a 10x Manhattan or New York City kind of a thing. It will start off for the next 30 years to be construction, right? To be building. And how do you bring people around the world into this type of project and make it accessible to them? So I only want to bring it up only because I'm actively engaged with them and helping them think things through, right? More as an advisor than anything else, because they actually want to do something with it. But they again, the approach has always been old school. They have all the Saudi Arabia, the limitation of Saudi Arabia with their financial system, right?
Agreed.
They cannot send the money out of the country.
Right. No.
So, right.
It's a closed system. Right. So now then the metaverse world, the NFT world, the blockchain world, the tokenized project world allow them to, in essence, open up the world to them. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, that's cool.
So
hey, on the digital twin thing, Marcus, so you're basically going in and presumably have a system to actually digitize, like say you've like an on-site sorry, I might have froze up there for a second. Like some kind of property or whatever that people would be filming on.
Yes.
And you would go in and in some way, film it or something, and then digitize it from that. Can you talk a little bit about how that system works, or like what you guys do around that?
Yeah, sure. Like right now, we use reference data. We'll take an oil field, we'll take an office building, we'll take a retail kitchen, we'll take a hotel room. We'll use reference data, sometimes laser scans, to replicate that space. Then at that point, our artists come in and kind of polish that space and hopefully make it hyper real. But we're also in the process of working with some of the leading satellite companies in the world that are providing us with sample data of specific areas within a specific region. That now allows us to tie in satellite data, drone data, laser scans, as well as high definition recordings, so that our reference material is spot on and hopefully extremely accurate. And in that space, now we're able to create that connection between that real world asset and its digital twin, and then lay in the data that's necessary for that industry, or whatever that industry may be. Just in this case, we're a part of a grant program that's facilitating that for the film and television industry within our region.
Okay. Have you seen the developments in that coming out of OpenAI and Stable Diffusion for? Yeah, so basically the getting sort of rough-ish data, whatever you're getting for your reference data. Right now, you can do it with 2D images, where you basically you could show it an image and you can kind of you can basically describe what it is. And I've seen it go from, and we're actually going to be using this in the Uplift because, of course, we're on a pretty blocky platform, right? So we're going to be using AI to get screenshots and turning them into like hyper realistic things. That's the kind of first level. Within a couple of years, it's going to be instantaneous, right? Like you'll be in our blocky world that people can still build as a blocky world. But when you see it, it's actually going to look freaking real because AI will be able to re-render it in real time, which is going to be nuts. But a couple of things that just have come out, even in the last couple of weeks, flying into images based on, so basically, you have like even a decent picture of like a mountainside, right? You want to zoom in, pretty soon you're looking at a tree that's mostly pixels. Right. With this AI, it'll actually infer from everything else around it what it should look like and make you a perfect tree.
Wonderful.
Right. But then you can zoom in even more to like a pine needle that's now, very blocky or whatever. It's very, lower resolution, but it'll infer from everything else around it and make you a perfect pine needle. Right. And so it gets to this point where you're actually flying into data that was never there. It's just sort of inferred from historical context. Now, I don't think you'd want to go that far because now you're moving away from what you actually were doing in the first place. But that the first step of that, it seems to me, would be a really simple way to go from the layer of fidelity that you get from the rough data to something that's like, because this stuff works, like it's shockingly accurate. Yeah, like go ahead.
No, that sounds really interesting, and we've had conversations around leveraging AI to, for lack of a better word, fill in the blanks. Because there are a lot of blanks in that data. And how do we do it? Do we manually do it with an artist or do we do it with AI? And to that point, that would be, very beneficial, particularly in what we may think are mundane details. It adds a level of richness to the experience.
Oh, yeah.
And to that point, we're looking at how do we take this data, particularly in the entertainment cycle, start off in a process of looking at a location. If that location is secure, then we want to go in and really build out that location, make sure that it's as accurate as possible. Then we can potentially leverage that same data for virtual production. So
Yeah.
you've seen Mandalorian, etc. You know, utilizing the cinema panel walls. So therefore, you've got an opportunity to take that same asset, place it as the backdrop inside the actual filming experience.
100% that's going to happen.
Right.
If it's not happening already.
Right.
Yeah, I'll send you some stuff. Like this stuff is inevitable. And again, it's pretty early, but like I'm, you know, at Uplift, we're basically incorporating it just because we know this is where so many things are going.
Yeah.
That we're developing an MVP just so that we can, like, everybody on my team started independently playing with it. Like anyway, so like, all right, well, we might as well do something. So it's going that way, but it's so early, like, but it's so fast. Like Stable Diffusion 1.5 came out, I think just a week ago, something like that. And you know, now the quality is jumping like 500%. It feels like every few months. Like it's just it doesn't even make any sense how good some of this stuff is. So anyway, I'll show you some of that stuff. It's awesome. You'll dig it.
Thank you.
Hopefully it'll be useful.
Look forward to
it. Great stuff.
Right. All right. So what are the things? Let's just kind of maybe do a little rapid fire thing here. So Edward, you know, we talked about, you know, kind of what you're excited about. It's a huge opportunity. I mean, from a financial standpoint, maybe one of the hugest opportunities that have existed in the history of mankind. So, you know, good job getting in the middle of that. What are you most concerned or worry about over the next 10 years? And it doesn't necessarily have to be connected to Web3. Like what's the biggest challenge that you see for mankind coming up?
Yeah, I think from a internet / blockchain point of view, the personal experience I gained in the last 15 years, especially in this space here, the last 6 years or so, is really the governmental potential hurdle that's involved. A lot of the local governments are not comfortable of the whole concept of decentralized finance.
Yeah.
Okay. And I personally experienced this in China. I started my project as a blockchain development center in China, in Shenzhen. And in 2018, 2019, the Chinese government made it illegal for fiat to crypto back to fiat. And that's the core of my business. So I had to leave China. Right? So these are the things that we always have to be concerned about. But what's interesting is that they didn't say blockchain is illegal. They didn't say crypto is illegal. They said that the transaction is illegal. Okay, so a lot of countries are getting to that situation where, because the centralized bodies, if you may, that's in the financial world, still want that control. So we need to, in essence, educate at least a portion of those people that are not on board yet, how this transformation, and that's really a word I want to emphasize. Is, you know, we in the technology field, the blockchain field, always want to use the word disruptive, right? And you're dealing with the old gods and the centralized finance, use the word disruptive, they panic, they shaking, okay? So I use the word transformation a lot. It's the same thing. It means the same thing, but it allows them to say that, hey, are you gonna help us understand new technology? Yes. Are you gonna help us transform our old school to the new school? I said, yes. And this is where I think that we need to spend more time on. This is one of my concerns in the next 10 years. Yes?
Yeah, no, that, I think it's really awesome reframing, because I mean, really, the amount of power that centralized, you know, governments are going to lose in this is massive. That, of course, is going to scare any institution, right? Like they've been, you know, running this, and any destabilization, you know, of those networks, right? You were talking about disruption or whatever. Like things can go bad, and you know, when things go bad at the national level, it's not good. So yeah, no, I agree. And again, like massive opportunity. And yeah, I think you have the exact right thing. Like we have to go to these institutions and say, hey, this is the opportunity here, right? We don't have to do it.
We're helping you do this. Exactly.
I understand. We don't have to do it in right. We don't have to do it in an irresponsible way. You know, we're gonna leverage all the benefits of it, and make sure that it ties into all the old systems, so that, you know, the global economy doesn't fall on its face, whatever, right? These are things that we can do. So that's a good one.
This ties into the digital asset side, you know, an entertainment field, and the say title-based real estate, you know, all those things. People are still they see and know that it's coming. They just don't know how to embrace it. So it is our job, right? We understand the old school. We understand what this means. How do we now help them transform themselves, right, to be part of the I would say ecosystem that is inevitable, right?
Right. That's exactly the word I was going to use. Like, this is inevitable. You're going to have to get on the train sooner or later.
Exactly.
That's awesome. Taking responsibility for helping them out. All right, Marcus, same question to you. What's the thing over the next, decade that concerns you the most?
Concerns me the most. I think, I kind of want to focus on the momentum of where you guys were. You made me think about the fact is that, looking back at how we used to do transactions at the city government level or the state level. After a while, where digital transactions became more popular, then you saw, I don't have to write a check. I don't have to go down to the clerk of courts, et cetera. I can actually pay online, et cetera. And you can see some of the smaller municipalities not adopting some things that in a larger municipality we see as commonplace. Right. So when we look at that adoption rate, it's going to look at, who are the most forward-thinking municipalities in those areas where the traditional systems are now adopting these new systems, and it's providing the citizens as an option. And so therefore there isn't that, we're very resistant to this change. We don't know how secure this technology is, et cetera. I think that adoption rate, and, we've been very lucky in this region, surprisingly, to look at opportunities of how a municipality gets involved in blockchain, how a municipality gets involved in cryptocurrency. And there are pockets around, the United States, at least, that are adopting a lot of those rates. This is a good thing. So I think it's, not shoving this technology and this innovation and this transformation down at individuals' throats, but providing an opportunity to see it as an option, see it as safety and security. I know individuals who don't want to give their credit card numbers to a hotel when they're traveling. Still today,
right?
It's just a part of that process. But the more we are helping to make that experience more stable, I think the level of support, the level of individuals embracing the technology and what we're doing is going to be that tipping point, for lack of a better word. So I guess it's more of not necessarily a concern over the next few years, but I think looking at where we're going and what are the bumps in the road that we have to overcome in order to get there. Because to our conversation, we are getting there.
Right. Yeah. That's my favorite thing about asking, entrepreneurs and builders that question. They suck at it. You can't just, and that's why. That's my favorite part of it. Like, we're gonna this is the challenge. Also, like, these are the 9 solutions. We're gonna figure it out, right? Like, that whole attitude is something that you can. I don't know. I just love bringing that out of people. So thank you guys for that. And one of the things I was thinking, I just came from Miami, where they're moving into being pro Bitcoin, pro crypto. I think they set it up so that all the municipal employees can get paid in Bitcoin if they want to. Like, they're and again, they're not shoving it down anyone's throat, but they're like, hey, we want to be the center of the fintech of the future, right? I think we're going to end up seeing, and I don't know what the timeline's going to be like, but there's going to be some real I think economic value in a measurable way that will gravitate towards those municipalities that are getting in front of this, even if it's just not a function of efficiency, right? And then that we maybe see bigger cities develop something that is hopefully cookie cutter enough for like a small town, to kind of run out of their post office with a single server someday, right? Like that. Never mind about blockchain voting. I seriously wake up in the middle of the night sometimes about blockchain voting. Like, talk about a system, and that may be it for me to answer to answer the question myself. Like they say, like, tweak the vote or fix the vote, something like that on Radio Lab's a really good one. They spend the first 15 minutes scaring the piss out of you about the fact that people are losing faith in democratic systems globally, right? Not just here in the U.S., although obviously we see some of the kind of insane results of that. But I mean, you need to fix that, right? You can't have it so that people can in any way feel like their vote isn't being counted properly, right? And a public-private blockchain solves that, right? You can see your vote, right? And everybody else can see everybody else's vote, right? It just doesn't tie to your identity, right? In the same way that Bitcoin blockchains are, kind of work or whatever. So that would be, I think, the rise of authoritarianism because of that is my biggest concern. Like, we could lose all this if we end up, having a situation where the Putins and other, jackasses of the world feed into that distrust and bring out kind of the worst in humanity. And blockchain voting really does, solve that, right? It's tougher to kind of, you're not going to go to the U.S. government and go like, hey, just do blockchain voting, it'll be fine, right? They're probably not going to do it until it gets really, really bad. But I talked to a mayor here in Florida who was seriously considering beta testing blockchain voting in his town, right? And then they can move into doing a bunch of other stuff with blockchain as well. And it's only a matter of time before an enterprising company figures this out. And I would be willing to bet that it'll be from Estonia. I don't know if you guys have been reading into that, but Estonia has basically gone full Web3, right? Like all your records are on chain. Every time you interact with anything, it's on chain. All the right people have access to it. All the wrong people don't. Like it's a really well designed system that I think it would behoove them to start exporting at scale.
Sure. No, I totally agree. I've been a U.S. citizen since I was 18, right? That's many years ago. I've been trying to address this whole issue of voting, and I take my kids into the voting booth all the time. I'm telling you, it just hasn't changed in 50 years. You go to the curtain, you pull down the slot, you make sure you're registered. I'm telling you, how come that doesn't change? And this is the idea. You can come up with a solution that make it faster, better, and cheaper, and people can trust it, right? Allow then the local, I would say, like I said, the government bodies to really embrace what we're saying, right? What we're doing, and actually do a demonstration that this is now a trusted system you can use and actually save you money because you don't have to have all this mechanical and human resources that you need, right, to put a vote account together. Okay.
Well, and you could check, right? Like when I run an API on the Bitcoin database, I'm going to get exactly the same results as you.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
So when I think that the sort of under-considered part of what blockchain voting could do, absolutely anyone on earth would be able to read the public side of that ledger, right, and get exactly the same numbers as everyone else. Now, granted, like voting fraud isn't a thing now. Like, let's just dispel with it. And I don't want, I'm a recovering political podcaster, as you can tell. I'm just trying to get away from it, right? It's like, just stop. Like, it's a provable thing, right? Like, there's 5 guys who accidentally, voted twice and they're all Republican. Never mind, right? But this just goes away as a thing. Like, technology really can solve this. Anyway, I actually have the Uplift booted up. We have a tradition on my shows where we actually encode some
wonderful.
Some gratitude on a big, huge public monument that we created, and actually right next to it. You're gonna like this, Edward. Little taste of home.
The reason why I like what you're saying right now is that again, my girlfriend's from Kenya, so the Kenyan government just had a new election.
Oh yeah,
right, and they just got a new president, and for the last 2 weeks. They were doing the counting. Finally, as of yesterday, the day before yesterday, they formally announced that the election is correct. Okay, it shouldn't happen that way. And now my junior partner is from Nigeria, right? He right now is very concerned about the upcoming election in November. Same thing, right? Okay.
Yeah.
How do you get rid of that user or citizens' uncertainty about these major event that goes into a country, right? So the blockchain solution is a transaction, right? Trusted solution. It doesn't matter whether it is an asset, it's a vote, it is an invoice. It doesn't matter, right? You put that record in there, right? There's no double usage or double spent,
right?
Okay? And a record, one transaction. You cannot modify. You cannot delete it.
Right. I mean, that's the genius of blockchain, period. Like it just works. So again, what we do, I'm going to ask you guys what you're grateful for. Try and keep it short because these signs are tiny. But I might, edit it for space or what have you. You can do more than one if you want. It could be big, could be small, doesn't matter. Marcus, what are you grateful for in this moment?
Ooh, on the spot.
What is this now?
Grateful for family.
Yeah,
Good.
I mean, that one never gets old. I mean, that's just real.
I mean, it's a go-to, and we just found out we'll be adding a second grandson. So
awesome!
Wow.
Congratulations,
Your grandfather.
Child, sorry.
Awesome. All right, Edward, how about you?
So on my side, I'm already a very seasoned father. My son is 34, my daughter's 32, right? So I think that I totally agree. You really actually, we're doing all this good stuff here really for the second generation behind us, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm grateful for the fact that I have the extensive experience in the real world, going back in the 60s now to the current day. And I love technology where I embrace the new world, the ability to combine the two together and create the transformation that allow the metaverse world we made be a practical use in the real world. Okay.
I'm gonna need about 600 signs. Just kidding. I think I'll be able to capture it. Hold on here.
Okay. So it's really a fun thing now. We're going through some transformation. It's really a fun thing. I went through many transformations from desktop PCs to the mobile phone to the World Wide Web, the .com, AI. Everywhere that we go right now, technology is advancing at an exponential form. We just need to embrace that and leverage that as a tool, right? Make it so that it's functional in the real world.
Love it. All right, so what am I grateful for? Put myself on the spot here.
You doing anything real time, huh?
Yeah. I'll show you. I'll show you guys what we're doing here in a second.
We should we can say Marcus to do this stuff, right? Right? I'm sure you have all the tools, right?
Yeah, right. Oh. Yeah. So every time we do a show, we record gratitudes not only from the people that are guests, but sometimes people in the comments or whatever. So nice. just to give you a little bit of a scale, like this is kind of where we're at right now.
Nice.
Down here in the middle, but it's giant, right? Like there's thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of gratitudes on here.
Sure.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I love it.
Cool. Not gonna lie.
Impressive.
Thanks.
This is wonderful stuff.
Yeah, we built all of this with Minecraft, right? And we're gonna be doing a lot more Web3 integration because Mojang is grumpy about Web3 integration on the MindTest platform. But we're gonna be able to bring all of this stuff with us. This is all just a voxel file, right? So we're gonna be able to bring all this stuff over there. But then we'll be able to bring it anywhere, right? Like it's only a matter of time before we're booting into things like Unity and Unreal 5, and that's sort of.
I gotta give you my logo where you put our platform in there somewhere, right, to handle all the transactions and invoices. Yeah.
Honestly, we can. I mean, we're gonna be able to embed those transactions into the platform itself.
Yes,
which is
exactly.
Pretty fun. Oh, and the sun just went down. Anyway, thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out with us. Again, we've got a panel with IBM that's going to be coming up at 1:30 Eastern Standard Time today, which is just in a few hours from now. The panel's going to be awesome. I'm going to be working on interviewing everybody else on the panel over the next few days, maybe next week. Because it was really great to get to know you guys better. Anytime you guys have anything going on that you guys want to kind of announce or amplify, we've got a blog at wherewehideallthealpha.com that I'd be more than happy to share stuff there and come back on the show. Like that, it's a huge part of what we do that we don't want to just see people once. If you're still working in the space and if you're part of our network and ecosystem, sort of our family of projects or whatever, we want to have you keep coming back over and over again just so that people know who you are. And we can sort of demystify the people in this space because they're awesome. Like I talk to them all the time. You guys are geniuses, and it's I think a really cool thing to be able to have our community get to know you guys.
So Marcus, you in Louisiana, right?
Correct.
And Corey, you in Canada or you in Miami?
I'm actually just north of Tampa now, but I've been both. I'm actually from the Canadian Arctic. That's where I was born. Okay. That's why I live in South Florida now. Like, no.
Half my relatives are in Canada, so.
What part?
My U.S. wife, she was born in Montreal.
Okay.
Unfortunately, she passed away from cancer many years ago. My aunties and a lot of my cousins are Windsor.
Okay. So
a lot of cousins in Toronto and a handful of cousins in Vancouver. So Canada is my second home, if you may. But I'm from New York City. I'm a New York City boy,
Right. Awesome.
Right. So I love Canada.
Cool. All right, thanks. Are you guys doing anything for the? I just read again that it's supposed to be a beach party. I'm like, what?
I'm looking for a
You guys
beach
do anything for that?
background. I'm
Yeah.
anticipating by looking for a beach background.
Right? Yeah,
Exactly. I didn't get any. I didn't get the memo of the beach background, so I was going to put in a Dubai beach back there somewhere.
Right. Well, StreamYard, you can put any background, any image that you can get online on StreamYard. So this is StreamYard as well, right? You be able to.
Oh, okay. I wasn't. I'm fairly
Yeah.
familiar with this. I'm fairly new with this app, so I didn't see the tool.
No problem. Yeah, if you go into settings and virtual background,
Yeah.
Okay.
You can upload an image and throw it in there. Oh, and he's bye.
This one?
Not the red one, Edward. Not the red one. That's awesome. Oh man. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna find some kind of beach thing in here. What's this one look like?
There you go.
It's beachy, sort of.
It's beachy.
All right. Well, we'll call it. I'll just answer any questions Ed has about doing all that stuff. Yeah, seriously, Marcus, come back anytime. Would love to have you back.
Pleasure being on. Thanks,
all right.
Corey.
Cheers. Talk to you soon.
soon.
Yep.
Take care.